what's going on? Matt Morris, leadwithmatt.com here at the lake. My buddy Matt in town from Canada.
What's going on, everybody?
We're sitting here watching the deer run by, hanging out, and going to be back in Dallas tonight. Have a trainer's event in the morning. So I wanted to share with you guys a little concept that I think can be a little enlightening. Whether you are brand new or whether you have a big organization, this will definitely be a leadership lesson at a couple different levels. So as you hop on, let me know where you're tuning in from. Give me your city, your country. If you're watching this live, drop me a live in the comments. If you're watching this on the replay, drop me a replay in the comments. And listen, if you're watching me, if you're seeing me for the first time on a live broadcast, drop me a 1 so we can welcome you. And if you do share this and give some value with some others, then let me know that you shared it, and that way I can give you a shout out. So, mentor or nanny? This is the question. Now, over the years, I've had a lot of different phases that I've gone through. You know, my first 2 years, I had no success. I failed miserably, sponsored 3 people in 2 years, 2 of which I paid for to get in. One was my mom. I never even told her she was in. So it didn't get a lot better from there. I finally got into a company, and I remember like it was yesterday, and I never forget this. And it was a situation where we had a pre-recorded call. Speaking specifically to those of you who are in the direct selling, network marketing industries, and this will apply in others as well. But very specifically, Tanya, welcome to the broadcast. See your number 1 there. So here was the situation. We had a conference call. This was back before Zooms. This was back before webinars, nothing like that. It was conference calls, right? So the whole recruiting strategy and presentation strategies was you get someone on the phone and are they open-minded? And if they're open to looking at our product, services, opportunity, then I'd say, great. Well, I'm going to have you listen in on a conference call, edify the speaker. So you 3-way them onto the call. Now, I'm telling you, this was my process. I would get people on the call, and I finally got to the point where I could actually get people on the call, right? And I would have them listen to the call, and when the call was over, I'd say, hey, John, you still with me? And they'd say, yes. And I'd say, pretty exciting, huh? And they'd say, yes. And I'd say, hold on 1 second, I want to introduce you to my business partner, and we'd do a 3-way call. Now, listen. If you're involved in network marketing, there's nothing wrong with 3-way calls. They are good. I teach people do 3-way calls. Absolutely. They're very, very powerful. You're going to enroll a higher percentage of people if you do a 3-way call than if you don't. Why? Because it adds to the belief of your prospect. Instead of it just being you or you in the presentation that they saw, they hear from someone else who has ideally had some success. Maybe someone that they can relate to. You're showing your prospect that you're getting support, so they'll believe that they can get some support as well. Because one of the questions that people have when they're looking at this is, can I do it? And if you're showing a duplicatable system and you're showing that you're getting support, they're way more likely to see that they can do it themselves. One of the questions people have is, will you help me? Well, if they see you're getting help, then they're likely to understand that they can get help as well. So it's a very valuable thing. And it's something that you should definitely do. Now, personally, I haven't had anyone to do 3-way phone calls with in 18 years. I mean, I did some 3-way phone calls when I was first getting successful, and then very quickly, I didn't have anyone. I mean, it's been 17, 18 years since I've had anyone to really do 3-way phone calls with for me, right? So I've often done them with my organization. In fact, I think I've probably put some people on the phone with Matt here because Matt's young, millennial. If I've got someone who's young and a millennial, I'll say, hey, let me introduce you to someone on my team who's had a ton of success. And I'll introduce Matt, edify him. He'll edify me, talk about, the success he's had. It's a great thing to do. Now, here's the challenge. So many people are looking for this magical mentor. They want a magical mentor who's going to be there 24/7 for them to do 3-way phone calls. And my thing that I want to get across is you may not really want a mentor. What you may really be wanting is a nanny. Okay, because this is what happened with me. And I can only, you may think this is insulting to people who have a kind of a little scarcity mindset about this, but I can only do this because I know firsthand, I experienced it. I would get off the conference call, and if my upline wasn't available for a three-way phone call, I wouldn't even try and close my prospect. I would say, you know what, I really want you to talk to Steve or John or whoever my upline was, and I'd say, let me see if I can get him and I'll call you back. I was completely dependent on the three-way phone call, and guess how much success I had? Very little. You got to understand, if your prospect is looking at this and there's not someone available to do a three-way phone call, you don't ask them to join, you don't ask them to buy your products, and you're waiting to get a lifeline, waiting to get a support line. How do you show up as a leader? You don't show up as a very powerful leader at all. And I did this over and over and over, and I would get so pissed off that my upline, my sponsor, wasn't available for a three-way phone call. Well, realize that there are other people in your upline, there are other people on their team. They may have a life, especially if they're, if they've had a lot of success. It's great if they're available. Here's the key. Don't base your business on having a nanny available to you 24/7. You are not a child. I believed when it came to recruiting and my skill in closing prospects, I was a child. And I had to get over that. And I had to stop wanting this mysterious mentor who was going to be there 24/7 to help me close all my deals. I was really needing a nanny. So have you been wanting a nanny, or have you been wanting a mentor? A mentor is someone who can kick your ass and tell you to stop being dependent on three-way phone calls. Yes, use them. They are awesome. It's going to allow you to close more people. My mentor has probably done more three-way phone calls to me than I ever did with him. In other words, he used me for three-way phone calls instead of me using him. Now, we supported each other. We're brothers. We love each other. But he's not dependent on me. I'm not dependent on him. We're able to close our prospects ourselves. And so that's from the kind of the lower level side. This is, you're getting started, you don't know everything. What I'm telling you right now is you are good enough to close your own prospects. If you can get a three-way phone call, that's awesome. Can you text someone in advance and say, hey, would you be available for a three-way phone call? And if so, great. But if someone's not available, don't not do the presentation just because someone's not available for a three-way phone call. You, listen to me, you are good enough to close prospects yourself. You don't have to rely. You don't have to use the crutch. You can do it yourself. But you're never going to become powerful until you realize you are good enough. You are. Anything else is a lie. It's just a matter of stepping up and actually doing it. Now, I'm going to go on the other side. I'm going to go on the higher level leadership side. Are you being a mentor, or are you being a nanny to your organization? Are you being a mentor, or are you being a nanny to the people in your group? So I see this very often. Someone gets to the point where they're having some success. They have an organization, a team of 20, 50 people, and you mother hen your group to death. Now, you don't run people off. People love you, but you do everything for them, and so they never build any leadership. They never build any confidence, and your group uses you as a crutch. I have seen this so many times over the years, and this is what I used to do. I used to tell everyone in my group, I would say, hey, you can call me anytime. Call me at 2 a.m. I'm here for you. And I nearly killed myself trying to do every three-way phone call for every single person in my group. Now, should you make an effort to be available for three-way phone calls? Yes, you should. It's good to be available for your team. But if your team is dependent on you to do three-way phone calls all day, all night, if your organization only grows, if you're doing three-way phone calls, you have not built any leadership. You have built children. You are a nanny, not a leader. So again, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong here. I'm not saying don't support your group. I'm saying support your group, but I'm also saying empower your leaders to do things themselves, to build confidence in them so they can do it themselves. See, I think the biggest part of mentorship and what we do in our profession, it's not teaching people the tactical skills, it's teaching the right thinking. And this was a huge challenge for me to understand, because I got to the point where I had success. I figured it out. I did so many reps. I did so many calls, so many invites, so many presentations, so many closes. I figured it out. I got good. And I had a lot of tactical skills. And so I would have people in my organization have challenges, and I would immediately go to tactical. So how I would try to help them is I'd dissect, like a surgeon, everything they're doing. How do you invite? How do you present? What are you saying here? What are you saying here? What do you say at the close? Trying to teach them body language and mirroring and all this kind of stuff that I had learned. And I would train and train and train, and they wouldn't have any success. And I finally realized that, if how-tos and tactics were enough, we'd all be rich. We'd all be rich, skinny, and happy if tactics were enough. So I shifted and I started training more on the mental framework that you need to have, more on the mindset that you need to have, more on the strength that you need to have, more on the swagger that you need to have, more on the beliefs that you need to have, and having people read the right books rather than only identify tactics. Now, if someone's doing tactics all wrong, you can correct them. But if you don't correct the mindset, the tactics will never help. Let's say that again. You may want to write this down and remember it. You can train on tactics all day long. You can help people with their tactics, but if their mindset is wrong, the tactics will never work. So what we do more than anything else is we empower people through giving them the right belief, making them rise up to become a leader versus staying a child forever. So here's a rule in leadership. As a leader, never do for someone what they're capable of doing for themselves. Okay? Now, I'm not saying don't do a three-way phone call when someone can close their own prospect, because they're going to have more success if you're helping them. But it's kind of like this. Let's say you start a market in another city. It's a couple hours away. And you go there every week to do a meeting. That's awesome. It's good because you're training them how to present. You're building relationships. It's good to do those things. But if you're doing that for 5 years, going into the same market, presenting for the same people, you have not built any leadership. You've built children who are completely dependent on you. So at some point, you've got to get people presenting. This is what my mentor did with me. He was a much better presenter than I was. Way better. Way better. We were doing events with about 400 people. And I'm making a ton of money. I got people in my downline who are presenting, and I'm not. And he finally says, this week you're presenting. He got me up there. I said, no, I'm not, because I was afraid to do it. And he said, yes, you are. And he pushed me to do it. He made me rise up to be a leader. Now, what if he didn't push me to do the presentation? What if he kept doing them for me? How strong would I be? Wouldn't be strong at all, because I still would have remained a child. He wouldn't have allowed me to gain my own strength. So here's the lesson are you being a nanny or a mentor to your organization? Are you wanting a mentor, or are you wanting a nanny from your upline? What you want is a mentor. What you want to be is a mentor, not a nanny. So listen, if you feel like this can add some value to some others, feel free to share it. I know a lot of you share this within your own, groups and so forth. This is a big lesson. If you're mother henning your group is never going to experience the incredible duplication, and you're never going to experience the freedom that you deserve, because you're raising children, not adults, not leaders. So empower your leaders to do things for themselves so that you can allow them to have way more success. I know you want them to have a lot of success, and the best way to have them have that success is helping them step up into their leadership that is already inside them. See, you've got to believe in other people more than they believe in themselves. And sometimes that means they need a kick in the ass. Thank you guys for tuning in. Appreciate it so much. Thank you for the comments. Feel free to let me know what you got out of the comments. Always love reading the comments. And if you feel like this can add some value, share it. Let me know you shared it in the comments so I can give you a shout out. Thank you guys so much. God bless. Let's go make life an adventure. Take care.